News Talk 1070 KHMO presents On the Mark with Mark Hespin. News Talk 1070 KHMO presents On the Mark with Mark Hespin. On the Mark is powered by Kunis Country Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area at 221 North 36th Street, Quincy. Faith, family, and giving back. That's Kunis Country. And now, here's Mark Hespin.
Good morning, Tri-States, and wherever you may be listening on the News Talk 1070 KHMO app. This is On the Mark. I am Mark Hespin, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask them about that lifetime powertrain warranty, the no-fear warranty on new and used vehicles. Tell them Mark sent you. Welcome on into episode 231 of On the Mark here on this Saturday, April 13th. It is Masters weekend. And I am so pumped to have everyone here. We're gonna dive right into it in just a second. It's a gorgeous day here in Quincy, broadcasting live and local from our KHMO studios here in the heart of Quincy. Gonna get into the 70s today, 80s tomorrow. I can feel it in my bones. Summer is almost here, and you have a late night. My Cubs are out on the West Coast. They're playing the Mariners. Games not starting till 9 o'clock. Too late for my blood right now, this early morning schedule. It's just a very fun time of the year. And I love so much that golf and the Masters gets a weekend to themselves, right? The Final Four is over. Shout out to South Carolina women's team for winning the undefeated, incredible season, taking down Caitlin Clark and winning the championship. Shout out to UConn. We have a dynasty forming. Dan Hurley, the best in the sport right now, as both schools will look to retool and defend their titles. And college basketball is over. March Madness is done. The NFL draft is still over a week away. And this is the perfect week of the year to kind of slot in something unique, something different. Baseball season's started. The NBA playoffs haven't started yet. Hockey's still wrapping up their regular season. And we get to, for one weekend of the year, tune in our TVs to the gorgeous scenery down in Augusta, Georgia, the Masters. Let's dive into it. Hespin headline number one: the two biggest days in golf are ahead of us.
Hespin's headlines on the Mark.
The two biggest days of the golf calendar for 2024 are today and tomorrow, the weekend at the Masters. It's the two biggest days in all of golf's calendar. I compare it similarly to NASCAR, and I have an affinity and a love for NASCAR. It holds a special spot in my heart. And, similarly, the Daytona 500, kind of the beginning of their season, is the Granddaddy Mall. It's their Super Bowl. And even though the golf, the PGA Tour has been going on, for about a month and a half now, 2 months, LIV is, going on. This is it, the start of the golf season and the four majors, but the biggest one is the first one, the Masters, every year, the Green Jackets. Talked about it a little bit last week, kind of the storylines that I was keeping an eye on. But now that we have our cut line, and we have some golfers already beginning the third round this morning, I want to talk about what's good right now for golf and for the Masters, and then there is some bad. Luckily this morning, there's a lot more good, in my opinion, than there is bad for the Masters and for golf in general for this giant weekend for them. So let's jump into it. What do I think is good right now? And obviously the number one good thing for golf and for the Masters is Tiger Woods. We got Tiger in his Sunday red. We will get to see Tiger in Sunday red tomorrow. He made his 24th consecutive Masters cut. That is a record for the course. It's unreal what Tiger can do in Augusta. Tiger's sitting at what? Just about +1, teeing off at 11:45 today. And I truly think for Tiger, and I do like his new threads, as my guy Austin points out in the Facebook page. It's weird not seeing him with the Nike swoosh as I'm wearing right now, as if you're following along on our Facebook Live on the Mark KHMO on Facebook. It's weird not seeing Tiger in this Nike swoosh, But I do like his Sunday red and the Tiger logo. It's good branding, so good for Tiger. But I right now, I think any of the guys kind of +2 and lower are in it. So Tiger's right there, +1. Can he make a run today? We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. But yeah, having Tiger playing the weekend is great for golf because it's easy to throw Tiger on the TV on CBS, tune on in, and we'll just eat it on up. Tiger coverage, especially if he can make a run. So that is the number one most important thing for golf. Tiger made the cut this weekend, and he made it with some, aliveness. He's got a chance. He knows the course better than anyone who's playing this weekend, that's for sure. Now that, Freddie Couples is out, and Phil's alive, kind of, but Tiger's there, and he looked pretty good. Physically, it didn't seem, to be any sort of major, limp, twist the wrong way, and he grabbed his back, anything like that would give you that kind of heart-stopping pause. So Tiger's alive, he's playing, and he looks pretty healthy for this version of Tiger. That's number one. Number two, no one is running away with this thing, and that is great for golf and the Masters this weekend. Now, conversely, when Tiger won this thing by 12 strokes in the early, mid-90s, that also was good for golf because it was a phenomenal thing. If someone was shooting insane course records and having an insane day, that I could argue is also good for golf. But in general, the fact that you have no one as we start the weekend that is 10 strokes ahead of everyone else and kind of the only thing to watch for is does that guy have a meltdown? That's good for golf. You like to see it competitive. You like to see more than one or two guys have a chance going into a Sunday, right? I love on a Masters Sunday to check my Masters app, check my ESPN app, look at the score goes and go, all right, we got multiple names here. You're looking for multiple guys that can make a run, multiple guys that can have a meltdown because of the pressure on Sunday. And so that's great. Two great things. Tiger's alive. No one's running away with it. All right. Number three, the other, I think the third good thing for golf in the Masters this weekend. Big names at the top. Scotty Scheffler. My guy Austin commented here on my Facebook feed here on the Mark HMO Facebook. Yeah, I mean, Scotty's unreal. And I thought Scotty, had a very solid round yesterday, shooting 72. He couldn't come up. He couldn't follow the 66, the big number on Thursday. But now, again, we know the weather, what it'll be like, and it'll calm down. It's going to be gorgeous weather throughout the weekend. Nothing's going to change. So Scotty's at the top. Max Homa, who is still seeking that first major, but he's extremely popular. Shout out to all my other AWLs, Pardon My Take listeners. I've grown to love Max Homa from his appearances on Pardon My Take and just all the stuff he does on Twitter. He's a good dude. You root for guys like that. He's got a really strong following. So you got Scotty, you got Max, and then Bryson DeChambeau, which it's kind of good to have Bryson back in our lives. I was very, very anti-Bryson when he went all roid rage and crazy and was calling out the Brooks Koepkas of the world and saying that really it's a par 68 for him at the Masters. He's toned it down a bit, which I think is good because he's not the villain, but he's still the kind of guy you love to hate, right? I'm very much rooting for a Bryson DeChambeau meltdown on Sunday. I think that's going to be electric TV. But he's a big name. He's an easy to talk about name, a polarizing figure. So at the top right now, while no one's running away with it, you do have three big names that you have strong opinions on. Scotty's the best in the world, but he's only got one major. Max Homa is the ultimate guy we love and good guy in golf right now who you're rooting for him to win one. And Bryson is the most annoying kind of guy on the tour besides the slow-playing Patrick Cantleys and the douchey Patrick Reeds of the world. And I could throw Zach Johnson into the douchey category after yesterday as well. Zach Johnson's popularity plummeting down the charts as we speak. So those are three great things for golf heading into this weekend of the Masters. I would also add Colin Morikawa, big name near the top as well. Likeable guy, good guys, got two majors, doesn't have a green jacket. Definitely feels like a green jacket type of player. So all of that's good. And then, of course, because you have big names in that +2 or under category, you're rooting for a big Saturday out of Xander Schauffele, Brooks Koepka, Tiger Woods, Rory and Phil in that as well. Can any of them make the Saturday push, right? Can the leaders, have nice days but stay in that, maybe the high number is at the end of the day -8 under, and so can Tiger and can Brooks find a way to -3, -4 today on shooting a really great round, and so they're alive and well going into Masters Sunday. Ideally, what we'd love as golf fans, right, is Brooks and Tiger get to about -3, Rory gets to about -2, and the leaders, Scotty, Max, and Bryson, all shoot around par. Maybe someone's at 7 under, maybe someone's at 8 under, but maybe staying around 6 under. And so then you have a bunch of guys with a bunch of chances, big names on Sunday. So all of that is still in play heading into the weekend, which I think is great for golf, great for the Masters. Those 4 big talking points, right? Tiger's alive. You have no one running away with it. The big names, the top, Scheffler, Homa, DeChambeau, Morikawa. And then you have gigantic names lurking. Can any of these big names, Phil, Rory, Tiger, Brooks, Xander Schauffele, can any of them make a big Saturday push, shoot a 65, a 66, and put themselves in a position to put pressure on the leaders going into Sunday? Now, it's not all rosy and sunshine and birds chirping and no squirrels for Augusta National either, even though there are no squirrels, and it's weird. Why don't you see squirrels in the beautiful territory that is Augusta National and the Masters? I think there are 2, to me, groups of players that Augusta National would pay any amount of money for these names to be more involved with the weekend. So you have the kind of older generation, guys past their prime, but big names, easy to talk about, easy to have opinions on, that would be great for TV. And that grouping is Bubba, Sergio, and Justin Rose. Big names that miss the cut. They're a little past their prime, but they're comfortable names. The casual golf fan can Sergio's -3 today. That would be good for golf, right? It'd be better if I wasn't talking about Xander Schauffele, if I was talking about Sergio at -3, right? Because he's a bigger name. He's won it before, the Live Tour ties. Same with Bubba as a 2-time winner. Everyone loves Bubba. Bubba's game is so much fun to watch. Having Bubba in the mix this weekend would be good for golf, but he's not. And then Justin Rose as well, same category. Now, they're not as bad news as the next 3 guys I'm going to talk about. These are 3 golfers in their primes. They all have majors. 2 of them have green jackets. 1 of them doesn't. But all of them feel like week in and week out at these big tournaments, it's a total coin flip what I'm going to get from them. And it's really disappointing to me to see these 3 guys not only not involved on a Saturday, but completely missed the cut. Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, and Dustin Johnson. DJ, JT, and Jordan Spieth. What is going on with these guys? I just don't understand it at all. I don't understand how Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas, JT, are not more competitive week in and week out at these big events. I just don't understand it. Spieth is such a mental case. Spieth's getting to the point now where I truly feel kind of like Rory. He's just never going to win another one. Rory's got his 4. Spieth has his 3. And I just don't know if they'll ever get another. JT still feels a little bit more like his game is Phil Mickelson. When it's hot, he is untouchable. And when he's off, he's one of the worst guys on the tour. And that felt like that just feels like JT is in this funk. Now, we talked about him with the Ryder Cup at the end of last year. A lot of people were saying JT shouldn't have been on the Ryder Cup. He was one of the guys that actually showed up for the Ryder Cup, and I was glad he was on it. I advocated for him to be on the Ryder Cup. But in the last calendar year, basically, JT has been non-existent and just not playing good golf at all. Spieth is a basket case who can win some occasional tour events. And DJ is, I think the live game has just been bad for his game. He's not playing enough golf at a high enough level with the big name that he is to compete in a tournament like the Masters right now. And that's bad for golf because they're big names. They're polarizing golfers that move merch. They get numbers. They have big followings. And the fact that they're not even in the cut line, I think is bad for golf. It's embarrassing for them. And it is certainly a storyline that is a negative one heading into the weekend of what is an incredible weekend for the Masters. Right now, who's actually playing right now? Ricky Fowler, -1 through 4, getting to +5. Luke List on the course. Knapp and Kim. Who else? Anyone else? No other big movers or shakers so far. Oh, Hideki Matsuyama, -2. All right, so he's a +4, -2 on the day. So there's low numbers early. Some guys are hitting some low numbers early. Russell Henley, Hideki Matsuyama, Ricky Fowler, all low numbers for the early group. So that's good. That bodes well that maybe some of these guys about to hit the course in the next hour or so, Will Zalatoris, Brooks Koepka, Tiger Woods, can they, Xander Schauffele, can they get out there and put some low numbers on to put the pressure on Homa, Scotty Scheffler, DeChambeau? I trust Scotty Scheffler not to crumble because we've seen him mentally stay strong. You just never know with Scotty's putting. DeChambeau and Max Homa are ticking time bombs. So if you are Colin Morikawa, Tommy Fleetwood, Cam Davis, any of these other guys with low numbers, if you can go out there and put a -3, a -4 round together, there's no reason why you shouldn't be in it unless Scotty goes nuclear today and shoots a -6 or -7. So it's going to be a fascinating. It's movement on Saturday. Saturday is moving day in Masters in Augusta, and we'll keep our eyes on it. When we come back, I want to talk NBA. There's one game left for every NBA team. Sunday, today they're off, and then Sunday it's a giant slate. Everyone's playing, and the regular season wraps up in the NBA. We know pretty much who's making the playoffs. Seeding is still up for grabs. The top 3 seeds up for grabs, 1, 2, and 3 in the Western Conference. We do know one Western Conference matchup. I'll give you kind of my dream scenarios for the East and the West, how it match up for some good playoff basketball in the first round. Also, we'll talk a little bit of the MVP. As the regular season comes to a close, remember, the NBA MVP is a regular season award. Who do I think has earned it? Who do I think will actually get it? And why there are no American players even in the discussion right now, in my opinion, for the most valuable player in the NBA. We'll get into all of that next. Live and local in America's News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. It is On the Mark with me, Mark Hespin, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai.
My whole identity had been wrapped up in being a soldier. To have that so violently ripped from me when I was wounded, I was lost for a very long time. When Wounded Warrior Project came into my life, being around the other warriors, people that had similar experiences that I did, it was a game changer for me. Having King join the group, that was the beginning of a really good friendship. It's a good time.
I first heard about Wounded Warrior Project through CQ. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I qualify. But having been a part of it, it's kind of taught me that it's not just the wounds that you can see, but it's those that you can't.
When you do something like a peer support group with Wounded Warrior Project and come together from different walks of life, man, the growth is incredible. If not for Wounded Warrior Project, I really don't think that I'd be here today.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
1070 KHMO.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app, brought to you by the great people over at Kunis Honda Hyundai, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. What's special about Kunis Honda Hyundai is they are Honda and Hyundai dealership. But if you're looking for a brand new Jeep, brand new Dodge, brand new Ram, brand new Chevy, whatever, I'm telling you, go to Kunis Honda Hyundai. Grab one of the great sales associates and say, hey, Mark, this loudmouth guy on KHMO, was telling me that you can get me into a brand new Toyota and look at what they can do for you. The magic is incredible. The magic is incredible. All right, let's dive into it. Hespin headline number 2. The NBA playoffs begin this week. What am I keeping my eye out for?
Hespin's headlines on the mark.
So Sunday, the NBA season wraps up the regular season with some games. Everyone's playing and then everyone's done. We'll get the play-in games and then the regular playoffs will start. So we only know a couple things right now. We know, for instance, the Celtics are locked in at the 1 in the East. We know that the Bulls and the Hawks are playing in the 9-10 game, right? Which I hope the Bulls lose so they can get into the lottery. That's neither here nor there. No, let's not waste any breath talking about the Bulls. We know for a fact the Lakers, the Kings, the Warriors, they're in the play-in games. We know for a fact that Oklahoma City, Minnesota, and Denver will get the top 3 seeds in the West. We just got to figure out the seeding and all that. So it's really tight, and this last game in the regular season matters a ton, which is great for the NBA if you're a big NBA fan. Helps drive the urgency of ratings. There's some must-watch games. We do know one matchup is locked in the Western Conference. That is the 4-5 seed. That's the Clippers versus the Mavericks. They're going to play each other, which is great because you get Luka, you get Kyrie, you get Paul George, you get Kawhi Leonard. Big names, big markets, L.A., Dallas. That will be a must-watch marquee 4-5 matchup. The 4-5 matchup in the East is going to be young, up-and-coming teams, most likely. You're going to get Mavs and Orlando. And so it's going to be up-and-coming, young, scrappy teams, young stars, you know what I mean? Pablo Banchero, Wendell Carter, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen. You got to get the Evan Mobley. You get the young stars versus the big primetime stars of the Western Conference. So I want to take an opportunity here to kind of break down ideally what I think would be great for the NBA and for ratings for the first round. Historically in the NBA playoffs, they're very different from the NHL playoffs. It's formatted basically the same. It's the same amount of teams that get in. But in the NHL playoffs, you routinely see 8 seeds upset 1 seeds. It happens because you have a hot goalie. Hockey's just a little bit different in the way that it's played. A really great goalie can get hot. And you can lose the series really quickly as a 1 seed in the NHL if a goalie gets hot. Historically in the NBA, 8 seeds beating 1 seeds is very, very rare. Very rare. But we have an opportunity on our hands in the Eastern Conference to have some major early upsets in 1s versus 2s because of the talent and the coaching that you have in the possible 7-8 seeds in the Eastern Conference. So, in a dream scenario in the NBA and the Eastern Conference, Boston we know is the 1 seed. Miami looks like is going to find themselves playing in the play-in tournament against either Philly or Indiana for that 7-8 spot. So ideally, I would love to see Miami end up in the 8, Philly end up in the 7, with Milwaukee and Boston the 1-2. So to me, the only 4 teams capable of making it to an NBA Finals out of the East would 2 of them would be eliminated in the first round. I'd love to see, you get a 3-6 matchup like a New York versus Indiana, Cleveland versus Orlando. I don't believe that the Knicks, the Cavs, the Magic, or the Pacers, I don't believe any 4 of those teams can actually get to the NBA Finals. But getting one of those young upstart teams and getting some good exposure for them, getting one of those 4 teams getting to an Eastern Conference Finals would be great for the NBA as far as exposure, Eastern Conference, promoting young stars, right? Because all 4 of those teams are really fun, and they all have great young stars. Jalen Brunson, Pablo Banchero, Donovan Mitchell, you know what I mean? Tyrese Halliburton. Great young stars that just need some primetime viewing. But I think ideally, if you could sell in the first round, Boston versus Miami, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, versus Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, you know what I mean? Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, Al Horford. I mean, that would be marquee. And I do think the Heat would be able to push Boston to 6 games, which would create drama. It would tire Boston out, and it would make Boston's second round matchup even that much more intriguing for the team that ran away with the NBA regular season. No one was even within 5 games of Boston. It's their only team that's going to hit 60 wins, and they hit 63. So that would be interesting. You're kind of rooting for that type of matchup. I think if it's Boston-Philly in 7-8, Philly could maybe push Boston to 5 games, but historically, Boston just owns Philadelphia. They just own Philadelphia. Conversely, I'd love to see a 2-7 matchup of Milwaukee, probably without Giannis in the first round, versus the size and the reigning MVP of Joel Embiid in the 76ers versus Milwaukee in the first round. Dame versus Tyrese Maxey, Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez, the size, and Chris Middleton handling, Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid of Philadelphia. I think that could be an all-time 6-7 gamer in the first round against 2 teams that have star power and very much could end up in an Eastern Conference Finals. So in the East, that's kind of what I'm rooting for. Now, the NBA may argue, no. We'd much rather see Miami get to the 7 and play Milwaukee because of the history with them. We want Boston to kind of cruise and have an easy first rounder, maybe against, Indiana if they fall down, and they end up in the play-in game and they fall into the 8th seed. And we really want then, or even Milwaukee to fall to the 6th seed, to the 3 seed. So you have a 3-6. The NBA ratings-wise probably wants Milwaukee versus Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's kind of what I would like to see in the end. But it feels like that's now going to be asking a lot if Milwaukee can't even lock up the 2 seed here. This is why Sunday is a fascinating matchup in the NBA, in the regular season. Listen to this. I want to read this off. Go switch over to the Western Conference here really quickly in the NBA. If there is a possibility for the Thunder to be the 1 seed, the Timberwolves to be the 1 seed, and the Nuggets to be the 1 seed in the West, and all 3 of them also have the possibility from going the 1 seed, the 2 seed, or the 3 seed. So if all 3 of them win on Sunday, OKC, Minnesota, and Denver, it will be OKC 1, Minnesota 2, Denver 3. If Denver wins, in order for Denver to get the 1 seed, they need to win and the other 2 to lose. In order for the Timberwolves to get the 1 seed, they need to win and they need the other 2 to lose. It feels like the NFL wild card thing. It's wild how many different scenarios there are. It's a bunch of different scenarios. So that to me is going to be fascinating to see how it works up. In the end, I think what I'd like to see in the Western Conference is OKC getting the 1 seed and playing an 8 seed in Los Angeles. I'd like to see Phoenix as the 7 seed and getting a 2 seed in Minnesota. And I'd love to see then a 3 seed in Denver getting the Pelicans at 6. I think Denver's the best team in the West. I want to see Denver in the finals against a Boston or against a Milwaukee. So I want Denver's path to be as easy as possible. It's kind of what I'm laying out there for you. But I also think it's really interesting, the youth against Oklahoma City versus the age and experience of LeBron and AD and the Lakers. Oklahoma City's going to run this floor and shoot 1,000,000 threes. Los Angeles is going to take their time, try to get to the foul line. It's a total contrast of styles. I think that series could go 7. I really do. And I think it'd be anyone's game in game 7. LeBron versus and the Lakers versus OKC in the first round. I think that's fascinating. Minnesota and the youth movement and the size. They have so much size with Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, and the big guard that Anthony Edwards is, versus a Phoenix team that's really finesse and shooting threes and doesn't have much size. That would be really fun to watch in the first round as well. Obviously, I think Minnesota, Oklahoma City, and Denver should win those matchups. Why? And can I bring up? I feel like I'm the only one in the media that I've heard who keeps bringing up what the heck happened with Phoenix, and why are we not more critical of Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant is supposedly a top 10 player of all time, right? But not in my book. He can't even get this Phoenix team out of the play-in game. And I get it. You can make the argument, well, LeBron can't get the Lakers out of the play-in game. LeBron is in year 22. Well, LeBron has nothing left to prove. He won a championship in Miami, 2 in Miami. He won 1 in Cleveland. He won 1 in Los Angeles. He wins wherever he goes. Kevin Durant has only won in one place, and that was with Steph Curry. And he's gone a lot of places. So, a first-round exit for Phoenix is going to be it should be a PR disaster for Kevin Durant. I don't know if anyone will even talk about it. I'll talk about it. I think it's going to be a PR disaster for the Phoenix Suns. The Rockets were fun late in the year story, just kind of making a push. But overall, there's a lot of ugly in the bottom of the Western Conference. Wemby had a great year and a fun season, but the Trailblazers and the Spurs, they need to add a lot of pieces. They're a ways away from competing with the Oklahoma Cities, the Minnesotas, and the Denvers, who aren't going anywhere. LA currently, as they're constructed, they have a couple more years. Dallas, with Luka and Kyrie, that pairing, they're stuck together. It looks like at least another 2-3 years. So there's a long way to go for the bottom of the West to compete with the top of the West. And I'd argue it's the same thing with the East. I mean, there are some ugly teams. Brooklyn, Toronto, Charlotte, Washington, Detroit, ugly. I mean, not competitive day in and day out in the NBA at all. At all. Especially against the elite of the elite in the Eastern Conference. Really quickly, MVPs. It's such a big debate always in the NBA, the MVP. I will say this. Luka Doncic has had an insane season. 33.9 points. He's going to win the scoring title. If he goes off, he could end up with over 34 points. 9.8 assists, 9.2 rebounds. Career high in points and assists. Just shy of second in his career in rebounds. Jokic, though, 26.5 points per game. That's his second highest of his career. Second highest in assists with 9. Second highest with rebounds at 12.3. I love Luka. I love watching Luka play. Jokic is the best player on the planet. I feel so strongly about that. And I still think day in and day out, Giannis, when healthy, is the second best player on the planet. I really feel that way. And for anyone who's saying Luka's getting robbed, I would point to Giannis. Giannis, through all of the tumultuousness of this season, fired head coach, crazy second half of the season with Doc Rivers, he's averaging over 30 and got his team to the second spot in the East. Luka averaging 35 with Kyrie is hanging on for dear life, and is going to basically can just lock up the 5th seed. I do think winning matters when he talks to MVP, and I think Jokic deserves it. Jokic should have won it last year, should have won 3 straight. I think this is a makeup year for Jokic. Give it to him. He is special. We are living in a special era of big man European basketball. To me right now, the 3 best players in the NBA, and it's not close to the 3 best players in the world, are Jokic, Luka, and Giannis. They're not Americans. The best American player is Jason Tatum, but it's hard to quantify Jason Tatum and his overall talent, and is obviously off the charts, but his overall meaningful impact to his own team, it's hard to justify because the Celtics are so stacked, so loaded. I mean, they're just overflowing with talent. Europeans and the foreign game. Shai Gilgeous might be the 5th best player, and he's Canadian. So the foreign-born players right now are dominating this league. And if you watch the way they play basketball, it's so different from the AAU culture. It's unselfish. It's rebounding, assist, it's smart basketball, and they use their body with angles. It's not dunks, it's not flash, it's not high flying. It's about Luka and Jokic. I mean, they play basketball and it's effortless. Effortless. And you look at American great players, Zion and John Morant, and it takes effort. It's like physical, freak, dominate, dunk. It's just different. Just very different. And I worry about, the great future American players. Where are they? Where are they? When we come back, taking a break, when we come back, Shohei Ohtani, it looks like he's in the clear. Give you my kind of thoughts on the Ohtani, Muzahana, his interpreter, the kind of resolution it's come to, at least that the investigation is now over. Live and local in America's News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. It's On the Mark.
All of us have felt the effects of isolation during this pandemic, so we can understand a little how some veterans feel. But they will feel like that their entire lives, not just for a year. Over 30% of COVID survivors could experience PTSD, but many veterans have extreme cases of PTSD all their lives. Our most vulnerable veterans remain isolated at hospitals, scared and alone. But you can help. Help Heal Veterans, with the support of citizens like you, creates and distributes therapeutic art and craft projects for our veterans and military at no charge to them. Learn how you can help an isolated veteran through this desperate time. Visit healvets.org. This message is furnished by Help Heal Veterans, a not-for-profit organization that has been helping veterans for over 50 years. healvets.org.
Only 1 in 5 people with disabilities, including those with autism, are employed, despite many having the skill set and desire to work.
Maybe it's because employers don't know what kind of jobs they can do?
Okay, try me.
What about a programmer?
That is a job for someone with autism.
What about a teacher?
That is a job for someone with autism.
Oh, how about a healthcare worker?
Yes, those are all jobs for someone with autism. The truth is, qualified people with autism can do a lot of different jobs, but often get overlooked due to outdated stigmas and beliefs. Businesses value diversity, but sometimes don't recognize the unique strengths and abilities of the autism community. Introducing WIN, the Workplace Inclusion Now program by Autism Speaks. We help businesses lead the way in inclusive hiring.
Ooh, what about a ranch hand?
Yeah! Sure, that's a job for someone with autism too. To learn more, go to autismspeaks.org/win. That's autismspeaks.org/win.
Times of transition, whether from a sad event or a joyful one, can leave us feeling adrift. Social connections become even more important. Being isolated and lonely can be harmful to your health. It can lead to high blood pressure, a greater risk of heart disease, and early onset dementia. So it's important to build and maintain connections to people whose relationships bring meaning to your life. Try a new hobby, volunteer, exercise, or use your phone or other device to stay in touch. These can be great ways to keep up your social connections and your physical and mental well-being. Visit connecttoeffect.org to see if you're at risk of social isolation and find ways to stay connected. Presented by AARP Foundation with support from United Healthcare.
Here's your weatherology forecast from the News Talk 1070 KHMO Weather Center. Clear skies today with a high of 80. Winds out of the south, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 61 tonight, partly cloudy. Daytime highs approaching 86 tomorrow. Sunny skies. Currently 54.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. Ask about that lifetime powertrain, no fear warranty on new and used vehicles. Just tell them, hey, Mark sent me, the guy who yells on KHMO every Saturday morning. I was just talking off the air to my Facebook Live audience. One of the things I didn't squeeze it in there at the end of that NBA talk, but I'm done with the play-in tournament thing. Go back to just seeding the playoffs 1 through 8. If you would have not had the stupid 9-10 play-in BS in the NBA, we would already know 1 through 8, like this teams that locked into the playoffs. But you'd still have the excitement of the final day of the regular season comes down to 5, 6, 7, and 8, all having to decide who's going where and what the matchups will be, including 2, 3, 4. they all could swap spots as well. So you'd have a ton of intrigue still. Guys would still be playing for a lot for spacing and seeding. And we wouldn't have to worry about possibly having the Atlanta Hawks get hot and win 2 games and beat and then a 10-win Pacers, a 10 games over 500 Pacers team end up out of the playoffs. It's just stupid. Stupid. I truly hope the Bulls and the Hawks out, and I truly hope Sacramento out in the Western. If it's Golden State or LA in the 8th seed, either or, fine. Just give me one of them. They're basically the same team, right? Megastar, probably going to lose to the first round anyways with LeBron and Curry. I just think you're letting teams like Golden State and Los Angeles, you're giving them the opportunity to rest guys during the season and not take regular season games seriously because they know, I just got to get into the 10 spot. And then it's playoffs and I'm on. And it's all hold bar. Make them earn it. Make them get to that 8th seed. Make the regular season matter more. I just think that's just, my 2 cents on it. All right, I want to switch gears here to the MLB. We can sit here and talk standings, yada, 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 this or that. My guy Shota Imanaga on the mound late tonight for the Cubs against the Mariners. I'll definitely have to keep an eye out for that this evening. But I don't want to talk that right now. I do want to talk the fact that Mizuhara, Shohei Ohtani's interpreter, has surrendered to the feds. And the texts have come out. Everything is out. And I've read through it. And if you really look through it, nothing directly points to Ohtani himself illegally gambling at all, let alone illegally gambling on baseball. The fact that nothing blatantly points to Ohtani gambling, it is a great thing for the MLB. I do think it's maybe naive to think that Ohtani doesn't gamble. This interpreter guy was his best friend and right-hand man, the only guy he talks to, basically, right? It does seem as though the interpreter is a scumbag who had access to Ohtani's money and accounts and was basically saying, hey, I got the big guy's blessing to, make these gigantic bets. And so I think Shohei Ohtani was taken advantage of. That's my conclusion. I think in the end, I think the most obvious thing, the majority of the evidence point to Shohei was taken advantage of by a guy who knew he could take advantage of him. Hey, I'll take care of everything. Don't even worry about learning the language. Just talk to me. I'll set up your bank accounts. I'll do this. And I think Shohei was taken advantage of. And I think this Mizuhara guy got in way over his head and was a scumbag for trying to get away with this. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think it's stupid that states have gambling, sports gambling is outlawed. I think if you're a professional athlete, you want to gamble on sports, fine. As long as it's not your sport, I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. And I'd even be fine if you say, hey, football players can't bet on college football because they know coaches, they know, I'm fine with that, fine. Football players can bet on any sport that's not football. Baseball, basketball, hockey, golf, Olympics, go for it. I don't care. Baseball players bet on football, bet on anything you want, as long as it's not baseball, here, overseas, college. I think that should, if you just stick it to that, you it's fine. The problem is our country, it's great in a lot of ways. I'm not saying I want federal overarching laws for everything, but with things like legalized marijuana, leave it to the states. Well, now you got half the states have it, half the states don't. It's stupid. Legalize abortions, ban abortions. When you cross state lines, then you could go to jail for getting abortion in one state, and you could be celebrated like a hero for getting an abortion in the next state. It's stupid. For certain social laws, I just think as a country, gambling's another one. If half the states allow it, it should be legal. If the majority of the states allow abortion, let it be legal. You know what I mean? The leaving it to the states to decide for these social issues where you run into these weird, convoluted, quirky. California is hurting not only their own economy, but the United States economy by not allowing gambling. So that's just weird. I'll get off my soapbox. I'm just saying, Ohtani should have been, as long as they're not betting on their own sport, it really doesn't bother me. And it seems like Mr. Haro took advantage of him and is kind of a scumbag. Wrapping up the show next.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
1070 KHMO.
That's right. It's On the Mark, brought to you by News Talk 10, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai here on News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. Stop by Kunis Honda Hyundai for the lifetime powertrain, no fear warranty on new and used vehicles. Tell them Mark sent you. 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. Wrapping up the show here. Just about 3 minutes left. I want to quickly mention the Coyotes, the Arizona Coyotes, the NHL team, are leaving Phoenix. They are facilitating a sale. Basically, the owner is selling the team to the owner of the Utah Jazz, and so the Coyotes are going to Utah. I like this. This has been a disaster for Phoenix and the owner to try to get them a new stadium and all this stuff. Get them to an ownership, the group that's strong, that's solid, to a growing city and a growing market, and let them thrive. I think it's just great for Salt Lake City. I think it's great for the team. Sucks for the fans, but the NHL did do a good job of basically saying, hey, we want Phoenix to have a team. Phoenix is a giant market. Of course they want Phoenix to have a team. But Phoenix, right now, it's just they're so convoluted with the local laws, everything. You're trying to get a team and get a new stadium. It's like they got to get the stadium built first, and then when they're ready to add a team back there, they basically told the owner of the Coyotes who's selling them, they're kind of forcing them to sell. Like, when we come back to Phoenix, you get to own a team, which I don't know if that's a great idea because I don't think he's that great of an owner. He let it get to this point. But I'm excited for Salt Lake City because I do think now Salt Lake City is one of those teams you talk about. You need Western expansion, right? Another baseball team in the West, another NFL team in the West. Salt Lake City now having hockey, having basketball, it could allow them to get into the football, get into baseball, and continue to grow that market in an already growing market. And then finally, only of all the invites that went out to the NFL draft for the players to show up to the draft, only 3 quarterbacks are going. Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jane Daniels. No, J.J. McCarthy's staying home. The draft is in Detroit. He played for Michigan, and he's not going to the draft? That's telling you something. That's telling you something. I think him and his people know there's a chance he's not going top 10 and he could slide. He's getting the I think that he's getting the Will Levis treatment. I think he knows it. Where people are just floating his name out there a bunch for they're going to trade up, they're going to trade up, they're going to trade up, they're going to trade up. J.J. McCarthy, I'm making this prediction now. The fact that he's not going to be in Detroit when he played in Michigan for the draft tells me I don't think J.J. McCarthy's going top 10. I'd bet on it. Read between the lines. Read between the lines. They're telling you something. Hey, enjoy the Masters this weekend, everyone. I know I'm going to. It's such a special weekend. I love the U.S. Open. I love the Open. I love the PGA. I love them all. The 4 majors are great. But there's something just so uniquely special about the Masters. Augusta National, you just can't beat it. It's a great weekend to sit inside and watch some golf. Enjoy it. And next week, I'll probably do a Wednesday wrap-up video for Augusta for the Masters, depending on what happens. But otherwise, we'll give a full recap next week on the show. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend, everyone.